karate kick, and I kicked the glass out. And I rolled out all this glass and stuff. And they're all in there laughing and screaming. They thought it was funny as hell. So I ran and I jumped in my car, and I just tore off down this little dirt road. I had no idea where I was going. I was just trying to escape. And I knew that this killed somebody, so I figured, well, they might try to kill me. So I went about 6 blocks, and I ran into a big, tall fence, just wide open spout. And they were behind me. So I jumped out and crawled over the fence. Unfortunately, I hadn't been out of college too long, and I was in real good shape. And so I took off across the field running, and I got away from them. And I ran to a cemetery. And after I got to the cemetery, I ran to a white girls' college called Judson College. And I ran down the hall, beating on the door, and saying, "Help, let me in." Well, nobody would let me in. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and girls, well, I'm not going to let you in the rooms at 2 o'clock in the morning. And one girl did. She was from New Jersey. And I think the girls up north probably are different than the girls down south. So, now the guy I talked to on the telephone, he had called the publisher of the newspaper, Vincent Townsend. And Vincent, one thing he would not allow is to let authorities abuse the news, the press, photographers. So Vincent called Nicholas Katzenbach in Washington, D.C. He was the Attorney General under President Johnson. And he told him what was happening. He said, "We don't know what's happened to Spider Martin. The last time we heard from him, he was in a phone booth being run over and the phone was dead. So for all they know, I'm dead." So Nicholas Katzenbach called George Wallace in the middle of the night and said, told him the story. It says, "If you don't find this man within 24 hours, we're going to have the Army come in there, paratroopers, we're going to drop them into Marion, we're going to declare martial law." Well, of course, Wallace didn't want that to happen, so he got all the state troopers out looking for me. And so that morning, about daybreak, I looked out the window, and there was like about at least 200 state troopers out there looking all over the campus. They were everywhere looking for me. So here they came, beating on the door, and I thought, oh, he's scared, they're going to kill me. So I had to go open the door because they were going to beat the door down. So they came in, and this guy the state trooper had a box of donuts and coffee with him. And I was in the corner, I was cornered, and it was like an animal that you get cornered, you know. I'm here, I didn't know I was going to fight or whatever. So the guy reaches out with his donuts and coffee like he would an animal was frightened. He said, "Here, have some kind of coffee." No, the guy was happy. So he told me what happened. And so that's the way I was introduced to the civil rights struggle in the South. Now, I have at least 3,000 photographs that I kept for myself because I knew that this was history. And being an artist, my photographs aren't just ordinary photographs, they're art. So when I photographed the movement, I was, even though it was very dangerous, my life was on the line every day, I was still trying to be the artist and get great composition and good lighting and good photographs. So what I'm going to show you represents only 37 photographs out of 3,000. These photographs started down in Selma, Alabama. And right here is the church in Selma. It's called Baptist A.M.E. Church. And being an artist, like I was telling you, I, instead of just making a picture of a building, like maybe some of the other photographers would that hadn't had artistic training, I saw this unusual photograph here. This man's a reporter, Tom Langford. He worked with me. You can barely see my reflection here. I saw him, that reflection in his glasses, so I thought, hey, this is the picture of the church. So this is where everything started in Selma, right here at the A.M.E. Baptist Church. And this is where the march called Bloody Sunday, this is the day it happened. And this next photograph right here, this man right here is, he's Andy Young. He's now the mayor of Atlanta. And Andy has given a blessing to the marchers. Most of these guys right here are instrumental in organizing this march. Matter of fact, this man here is John Lewis, who is the U.S. Congressman from Georgia today. So Andy gave a blessing, and they decided to march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge over the Alabama River to Montgomery. Now, they had a march every other day or every day for a long time, and they would always turn and go back. But this time, like that old gospel song, "Ain't no turning us around," they decided on this day they were not going to turn around. There was a lot more tents this day, because they knew that they were going to be confronted, and they didn't know what the consequences might be. So this is John Lewis again right here, and this man's Jose Williams. And this next photo was what we call white rednecks. This man right here is giving me an obscene gesture, which most people call shooting the bird. And these folks right here could just as well have beaten me, shot me, whatever they could have done as a black person. Because what I was to them, I was worse than a black person. I was like a traitor. They called me an outside agitator, and they also called me a white nigger. And they would spit on me and throw stuff at me. This was your typical white southern redneck. Now, most of the southerners, I really think, weren't this way. This is a minority of people in the South. But that's the way it was in 1965. This next photograph here, this is the troopers, and they have been told to stand their ground. They also told the marchers they have 60 seconds to turn and go back. And as you can see, some of these guys have got their hands up right here. They're looking at their watches. And also, if you'll notice, it looks very similar today to what you see on the television, on the news about what's going on in South Africa. And it was pretty much the same thing. The guys got their billy clubs, they got tear gas canisters, they got their masks on, and they were ready for anything. One of the troopers had told me that day, he was a friend of mine, and he was an amateur photographer. He said, "Spider, I want you to stay back today because we've been told by the governor, Governor Wallace, to harass you." Now, harassment in those days meant beat you. He didn't say those words, but he told me that they were going to harass me, so I knew what he meant. So the next photograph, the state troopers have warned the marchers to turn and go back. The marchers would not turn and go back, so they're now approaching the marchers. In this photograph here, the state troopers are now attacking the marchers. They sort of knocked them down like dominoes, men, women, and children. There was a big surge, and people started going down. The troopers were hitting with their clubs, just anybody in sight. It's hard to see, though, but right here is John Lewis. Here's a state trooper, his club is, you can see moving, it's coming down on John's head. So he hit John in the head very hard right here. And I was shooting as fast as I could. I didn't have a motor drive camera those days, just a regular 35mm camera. Well, John has been knocked down, and now the state trooper has reached down and grabbed him by the arm, has jerked him back up, and is beating him more, hit him in the head. Well, John got a concussion from this. So they left John laying on the ground, and then I ran over to photograph John. Well, at that time, tear gas was everywhere. I could barely see what I was doing. And the trooper looked at me, and he came down with a blow toward my head. And I held my camera up. Unfortunately, I hit the camera first, and he glanced and hit me in the head. And it almost knocked me out. I went down on my knees. So I went down on my knees, and he reached down just like he did John. He reached down and grabbed me by the shirt. He jerked me back up, and he looked me right in the face. And he pulled his club back, and he fixed to bash me again. But the man had seen me for the last year, and even though we didn't know each other, our eyes had met. And at that moment, he just said, "Excuse me, I thought you was a nigger," and he dropped me. And then they continued to pursue the marchers across the bridge. And the tear gas now is just everywhere. And believe me, when tear gas is in the air, you cannot see, you cannot function. So it's really easy for these guys to beat these people up. And right here, you can see a club just raised in the air coming down on a marcher. And this photograph right here, it shows a lot of, look like debris on the road here. The debris is human beings, and it's mostly women. There's some men, but I mean, they didn't discriminate when they started slinging the clubs. It's a lady, a black lady right here, and they beat her up pretty bad. But all along the way, her body's laying. And the marchers now are running back across the bridge back to the church. Now I walked over here, and this is the man I think that hit me. And he is taking his mask off, and he's looking at this poor lady. This lady here is wiping her eyes. She can't see, and she's crying. And I really feel like, from the way his expression looks in his face there is some remorse there in his face. He's sorry for what he did. But I'll never know. And the next photograph, in the meantime, I'm running, chasing these troopers, photographing everything that goes on. And by this time, most of the marchers had disappeared. And this is the back of the church. There are nothing now but state troopers armed with tear gas guns, machine guns, and whatever other kind of guns he got. This guy right here actually has got his gun drawn, and all their eyes are looking at me. And they don't like me, but my pictures have been appearing all over the world. They were in Life magazine, Time, Newsweek, Little Callers, lots of papers in France and Germany and England. So I am their enemy. This man right here, I think, was about to shoot. But at this moment, my back, I was backed up to a black housing project. Well, I'd spent about a year right here every day. And so everybody knew me, all the black folks did. So this big arm just comes out of nowhere. There's a black lady that lived there. She grabbed me and jerked me in her apartment. And when she did, the first thing I remember was I smelled turnip greens and cornbread. She shut the door. Next thing I know, I'm sitting down at the dinner table, and I had turnip greens and cornbread and black-eyed peas, iced tea. And she said, "Don't you go back out there, they'll kill you." But I was a gung-ho young photojournalist, so I said, "No, I have to go back out. It's my duty. I have to do it." So I looked out the door, and this is what I saw. And not a very good sight, so I decided to go back in and eat a little more turnip. This is what your typical sheriff down in Selma. He was actually a member of the Dallas County Posse. And this gun here is the tear gas gun he has. So that evening, Martin Luther King had flown into town. And Martin Luther King wasn't on this particular march. This is Dr. King, and he is delivering a speech to the congregation at the A.M.E. Baptist Church in Selma. And he's telling them that we're going to have another march. And this is the beginning of the second march, which was successfully made to Montgomery. But back in Montgomery, the White Citizens Council, white rednecks, the white minority who opposed any justice for the black people, were protesting in front of the state capitol. And as you can see, this sign here says, "Dr. King out of Alabama." And here it says, "Well, this be our new Uncle Sam," and they have a black man depicted as a savage with a bone in his nose. And this is what they thought of black people. And another photograph, and it's a very graphic photograph, and sometimes I hate to show this picture, but this is history and this is the way it was. And this is what these people thought of black people. Also, with white people, we didn't think too much of the white people in Alabama and what Alabama was doing to them. So this man here, he wore this coat here for 1 year, this Confederate flag, and the sign says, "Alabama goddamn." And I don't blame him. If I'd been a black person, I'd probably be dead today, because I could not have stood for the way they were treating black people. But I did what I could as a white man by making these photographs. And this man here, his name is Shorty Price. Shorty ran for governor 8 times in Alabama. He had 8 votes, and he voted for himself each time. He's a real character, and not too nice of a person. The sign says civil rights unconstitutional. That's what Shorty thought about the blacks. Again, though, if you look at this photograph, the nice dark sky, the composition, Shorty standing here and he's holding a sign, it's all artistically composed, because while I was shooting these photographs, I was always trying to do the best I could to make it a nice art photograph. So with all the training I had in the Birmingham City Schools in Alabama, I was able to record history and do it in an artistic fashion. Now here we are over in the Beulah Baptist Church. This is in Montgomery. And if you ever try to imagine what went on in these churches, Dr. King, what they were doing, this is exactly what went on. There was a lot of gospel singing, there was a lot of praying, a lot of talking, a lot of planning. And I attended these churches for at least 1 year every night. I heard all the songs, and I still love them, I still love them. This is Dr. King right here. Most of these men here are his colleagues who helped organize the marches. Now after all the planning and strategy, we had a new march. And when I say we, I was part of it. I wasn't just a photographer. I was involved in it myself. And here's the Independence Bridge here. And the first time we had maybe 500 people. Now we have thousands. And right after I climbed the big road signs over the road, and just as I got there, I barely got Dr. King in the corner. But anyway, this shows all the marchers as the march started. Now this march was protected by the U.S. Army. President Johnson sent the Army in, and there were soldiers about every 100 feet, and helicopters, jeeps, tanks, people under bridges making sure that this march would not be marred by violence. This photograph here, I think, probably is my most favorite photograph of the march. And I had staked this photograph out. I've been back and forth on Highway 80 many times, and just love this big old Southern mansion. But unfortunately, the Southern mansion represents what oppressed the black race for the last 250 years. The back was slave quarters. So I knew that if I stood here and as Dr. King came by, it would make a great photograph and show the contrast of the old South and the new South. So here's Dr. King, this is Ralph Abernathy, and this is James Bevel, and here's old John Lewis again. He's gotten out of the hospital, he's marching again. Now to contrast that last photograph, this is an old slave quarter house here. This man here is one of the most violent men I've ever met. His name is Sheriff Jim Clark, and I saw him club many people. For some reason, he was always clubbing women. And the man standing next to him is a general who's in charge of the Army. His name is General Henry Graham of Birmingham. And General Graham's one of the nicest men I know. He's told me, he said, if I were to give a speech, please let everybody know that I had nothing to do with this man here. So, for the only record, General Graham didn't have anything to do with it. And the next photograph here, we're coming down Highway 80. And in those days, Highway 80 was a two-lane highway coming through the country. And all along the way, the U.S. Army was standing guard the marchers. They had guns and they had bullets. They were loaded. They were prepared for anything. However, this was a very peaceful march. Now, this is a typical picture. I was walking backwards. I walked 50 miles backwards with riding lanes. I know these guys, in a way, probably got sick of me standing in front of them all the time. At the same time, they knew that my capturing the photographs here were going to give them the visibility all over the world. As a matter of fact, Dr. King told me, he said, Spider, we could have all the protest marches in the world if we didn't have guys like you, the press down here, photographing it. The world then would not know about it, and it wouldn't do any good. So he said that the media probably was more responsible for having to say that the voter registration bill passed than the people that actually got out there to march. But of course, it took both sides, both of us. And this man here, I shoot pictures and ask questions later. So I don't know why. It looked kind of unusual. He's holding a flag upside down. So I shot 2 or 3 pictures, and then I went over and I talked to him and said, why are you walking with a flag upside down? He said, I'm protesting inequality in the United States of America. And he didn't say Selma, Alabama, Montgomery, Birmingham, or Alabama in the South. He said the United States of America. Because it wasn't just in the South, it was all of the United States. But as Dr. King had told me, the reason we have this thing in Alabama is because Alabama offers a better theater. He said, if we had this in Chicago, they wouldn't care. They'd just say, let them march. We wouldn't accomplish anything. We knew if we went to Alabama, people like Bull Connor, George Wallace, Al Lingo, Sheriff Jim Clark, like he said, it's a better theater. To get more publicity, and that's what they did. So that's why they had it in Alabama. This photograph here is what I call an art photograph. Newspapers would never run a photograph like this. But to me, it's a very inspirational photograph. It's Dr. King here, kind of looking up to the sky, and Ralph Abernathy here. They're marching, and it's just, to me, a real artistic, inspiring photograph. And I really love this photograph, too. Now this man here, he marched 50 miles on one leg. He was on his crutch, had only one leg. We had people, his wife, and of course, the white lady. It wasn't just black people on this march, it was people from all over the world. Now this black lady here, the reason I photographed her is because she had a smile on her face every day. And I'd known her for a long time, and her nickname, I named her was Sunshine. Because her face was always, even though she was black as could be, she looked like sunshine to me. And she's a dear lady and a beautiful person, so she's a typical marcher. And this man right here, I think he told me he was from the state of Maine. And he was a priest. And as you can see, he got his shoes off, he's tired, and I was standing over him with a wide on the lens, and I snapped 2 or 3 shots, and he looked up and he says, "I can't make it any further." I said, "I'm not in good enough shape." A lot of people weren't. But I said, "Well, wait a minute." I said, I'm walking backwards, and I got 50 pounds of cameras around my neck. If I can do that, I think you can make it in Montgomery. So with that, I think I made him feel bad about it. He got up and he finished the march. But people weren't used to walking 10 miles a day. A lot of people sit at home, they don't do anything. And this is a typical marcher's feat. This lady, we were camped out on the side of the road. Every night we just camp out on the side of the road. And she was asleep, she was exhausted. I saw her feet, and I made this unusual photograph. And of course I was using a flash, and she never stirred. She never even knew I made her picture of her feet, that is. I even have some pictures, not in this collection, but of Dr. King, Selma, sitting on the side of the road nursing his feet. And this, to me, is an unusual photograph. It's a photograph of 2 people. But what's unusual about it, of course, being Dr. King and his wife, Coretta, is that they're both smiling. Well, Dr. King was a very sick man. He seems too much, especially now like this, Coretta's smiling. This was the last night of March, and we were at St. Jude's Church. And they had a big show out there with a lot of entertainers, movie stars. Well, the guy that's making them laugh is Sammy Davis Jr., the black entertainer. He was telling a joke. So to me, it's almost like a young couple. He wasn't 39 years old. No, I think he was younger than that here. So it's a young couple, very much in love, having a great time. And that's why I like this photograph so much. Now this photograph here, the marchers are coming up Dexter Avenue, the main street in Montgomery, coming toward the Capitol. Again, it's Dr. King and Coretta, and many, many more marchers this time, by the way. And this photograph here is just masses of people. I think they said around 30,000, may have been more, I don't know, but the street was completely filled up as far as you can see. And Dr. King was delivering his speech, and he did make mention that where he was standing was very ironic. It was where Jefferson Davis stood when he was inaugurated president of the Confederate States of America. Now, while Dr. King was talking, Spider-Man was running around looking for more artistic photographs. And I spied these people. I was back probably half block away on a 350 millimeter lens. And I shot about 3 of this shot before they saw me. And once they saw me, of course, people respond differently. And so 3 photographs I got, one of those being this, was picked up by Associated Press. And Associated Press picks up a photograph, that means that this can be used anywhere in the world, whoever subscribes to the Associated Press. Well, they ran it all over the world, literally. And they put my name under it, that Spider-Man photographed this. Well, a friend of mine from college was in the war in Vietnam. This is 1965. The war was just beginning there. About a month later, I got a letter from him and a copy of the Vietnam News. And this photograph was on the front page, so that tells you what kind of readership and where these photographs were going, which made the whole world, brought attention. The whole world knew about what was going on down here in Selma, Montgomery, Alabama. And of course, that's what Dr. King meant to accomplish. We have an entertainer here. You guys probably don't really know who this lady is. Her name is Joan Baez. But in 1965, she was a very, very popular folk singer. And she was on the march along with a lot of other entertainers. Today, you might say Michael Jackson was one of the most popular singers. But back then, Joan Baez was just as popular as Michael Jackson. So that's how popular she was. And that's the type of people we had on the march. Now, this photograph here, I saw a lot of photographs that day made of this speech in the newspapers. Most of them were nothing but his face. But being an artist and having all this great training I got in all the city schools in Birmingham and colleges, I looked for more than just a headshot. So I made this composition, and to me, the contrast, the microphones everywhere, gives the illusion that you know this man is speaking to the world, which he was, because I think this was British broadcasting right here And all these mics represented news stations from all over the world. So after this, the march ended here, and I had to go back to Selma. So when I got ready to go back to Selma, I was going down Highway 80, and I needed a soft drink. So I pulled in this little town called Hangle, and real sleepy southern town, hardly anybody was there. And I looked around, got in my car, and this is what I saw. I saw this black and white mule. And there's a song called Black and White Together. And these animals, as you can tell, get along real fine. And I hope that the black race, the white race, and all races can get along like these two animals here. So this is the end of the march. But like I say, I have maybe 3,000 more photographs that I hope someday we'll have in our Civil Rights Museum here in Birmingham, so everyone can come and see history. Thank you for listening. Adios. Anybody got any questions?
When you go around the country talking about typical Southern rednecks, I assume you're using the word redneck not in its original sense of a white man who had to work for a living, whose neck got red from working in the sun. A country boy, a hillbilly, a hick, etc. But you're using it only in the restricted sense of someone of a racial bigot.
Well, I think we all know what I mean when I say rednecks in this context here.
No.
You don't know what I mean?
I hope I know what you mean.
Yeah, I think you do.
But I mean, you're getting these thoughts all around the country. You're showing this all around the country, I
Well,
think.
that's interesting. However, that's just my opinion, and that's what I thought of the people. I went to the shoe store Saturday in Hueytown, Alabama, and I have to watch what I say because the rednecks still want to kill me. And every time my name is in the newspaper or I'm on TV, I get what you call the farmers want to kill me. So I call them rednecks. But I know what you're talking about. The dictionary says somebody's a farmer gets the neck red.
Yeah, some of the worst bigots I've known were aristocrats who
I'm
never
not
had
an
to work a
aristocrat
day
by
in
any
their lives. And some of the most tolerant people I've known were what I should have been considered as aristocrats and poor white trash because they came from nothing. I mean, no, they came from a very poor
Well, let me
background.
give you one instance. I had a bunch of white farmers put a rope around my neck in Greensboro, and they were going to kill me. They were going to hang me. But finally, I thought, well, how am I going to get out of this one? I said, look, guys, I just left Tuscaloosa, which is 17 miles from Greensboro, and I was photographing Bear Bryant in the Alabama football team. I'm a sports photographer. I said, you know Bear Bryant? I said, oh, yeah. He took the rope off my neck. After smashing my cameras, both arms still hurt today that they did this. They said, get the hell out of here and don't ever come back. They were rednecks. I don't care what you say. Hoodlums.
No. What would be an appropriate name?
Call people.
I mean, maybe that's the promise. You're saying it's the wrong name.
Well, and, you know, if you were bigots are bigots. When King marched in Chicago, there were plenty of people who came out in Cicero. I mean, he did march in Chicago.
I know he did.
You know, and he never went into Cicero because it would have been, it would have been mass slaughter. You would not have called those people, if you've been showing films, you would have said, here are these typical Chicago Catholic hoodlums. I mean, you want to call them here are typical bigots, yeah, but I'm just, you say bigots, say bigot, don't say. Well, obviously, some people, redneck has become,
Well, it's kind of like the Confederate flag has become the symbol of the Ku Klux Klan, where at one time it wasn't bad to have a Confederate flag, say, on the wall of your house. But nowadays, if you got one, you're either a Klan or they think you're a redneck. So that symbol has been turned into something else, just like the word redneck. So I apologize for that.
well,
Yes. What now?
What was your sense of the civil rights movement before you became actively involved as a photographer? In '63, with the fire hoses and bull tunnel and Birmingham, what was your sense of the civil rights movement?
Well, I grew up in Wyla, which is on the western side of Birmingham, and it was mostly immigrants. We didn't have, I didn't know that all was going on, to tell you the truth. I thought everybody was happy. I had a black nanny by the time I was born, until I was 5 years old. I thought my mother was black. Literally. And my mother told me, like, who's this woman, you know? And so that's the way I grew up. And then all of a sudden I'm exposed to all this. It's like, I couldn't believe it, to tell you the truth. And immediately, the way I am, the way my parents taught me, was to treat everybody like it said in the Bible, doing to others, you have them doing to you. And I couldn't believe people would treat people that way. So I got inspired. I knew this was history, and I knew I was an artist and a good photographer, so this is what I did. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I think the name, rednecks, the derogatory name, just a nigger people use when they're not pleased.
What?
Derogatory name, such a nigger they use like redneck,
Yeah.
wetbacks, a name that people use.
Yeah, well, I've been called the kind of name you think of, so no big deal. But I hope some of these photographs offended some people on purpose, because it makes you think, if I just put a bunch of happy pictures up here, who cares? So the picture of the guy shooting a bird, a lot of people are like, ooh, you know, but that's why I shot the picture. What was that back there? Yes, ma'am.
First of all, thank you for chronicling.
Huh?
Thank you for chronicling our struggle in photos, Spike. And I think the song you were referring to was "My dog belongs to your dog, and your dog belongs to my dog. Why can't we sit under the apple tree?" And one of these days I might sing it. Where's Bob here? Bob? There he is. Can you sing that, Bob? I think Bevel wrote it.
James Bevel did?
Right, I think he did. Right? It says,
Go ahead.
"My
Right
dog
here.
loves your dog, and your dog loves my dog, and my dog loves your dog, and your dog loves my dog. Why can't we sit on the apple tree? Dog, 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 and dog, dog." And the story comes from, as I understand it, from Wendell Paris. Wendell Paris, who was in Tuskegee at the time, but from Sumter County. And his father, way back when, had to help a black man because he was about to get beat up. His dog was making love to a white woman's dog. Somebody's not getting beat up. And the lady asked the man to come get his dog off of her dog. And the man was on his way to work. And he said, "That's dog's business. I'm not going to be bothered with it." And the husband became insulted, if you will, and went looking for this man. And I don't know, Mr. Paris intervened, George Paris Sr. intervened, but it was a big controversy. It happened in Sumter County, Alabama. And that's the basis of that song. But even though it's humorous, it also shows the horror of race relations. And that's why I like Spider, because he's not going to try to smooth over this. Just to think about a man getting beaten and possibly lynched because his dog was having an affair, if you will, with another dog who was in heat. And so even though it has its humor, it also has its tragedy.
Thank you very much for that.
Hi, Senator. I enjoyed your talk a lot. We're from Canada, and we have rednecks there too. And yeah, I think everybody knows when they say the term, what they're getting at. I mean, it might be a white-collar professional who is just ignorant about things, whatever kind of things you're talking about. But the question I had was, there was one incident where you took a picture of the car where the woman, the white woman who was driving marchers, was killed after the march.
How'd you know I did that?
I heard it somewhere. I won't
Well, that's
reveal
true.
my sources, but
Actually,
you
the
can
show
tell us
I
that.
just showed y'all ended with the mules, which were actually chained together. Somebody brought that to my attention.
They're forced to.
Actually, the real story, I had to end it there because I didn't have enough time to finish, but the real story was that night. I got a call, we were at the Jefferson Davis Hotel. All the reporters and photographers were celebrating that nobody got killed. And the tubs were filled up with beer and whiskey. We were raising hell. And they had a call and they said, Spider, you need to get out in Lowndes County. They'd kill someone. And I said, well, I ain't going out there in the dark. You know, it'll have to be daylight. So I waited until daylight and went there and made the photographs you're talking about. And not only did I make the photographs, they weren't going to let us make photographs. They said, no, you can't. We'll stomp your cameras, we'll beat you up, we'll whatever. And I said, okay. So all these photographers from all over the world standing there, I said, well, I'm leaving. He said, hey, man, hang around. They'll have to let you make a picture of this car eventually. Well, I said, I got to go eat breakfast. And I put the camera over the show, set it on self-timer, started walking off, you know, like this. Click, and I got a couple pictures. Then I go back to the state capitol, where now Governor Wallace said, be nice to this guy, me, you know, because I had pictures all over the world, so they had to act nice to me. So I go into the state trooper's darkroom, which is right under the governor's office over here. Nobody's there. Pull the film out real quick, developed it like 5 minutes. Don't even wash it, just stuck it in the fixer, which keeps it from developing. Pulled it out, wet, put it in the water, made it print real quick. When I put it on the AP wire thing, just round and round, and I transmitted it back to the Birmingham News. And about that time, I hear the troopers coming in and he's going, hey, you in there, Spider? I said, yeah, wait a minute. And I lifted off the thing and stuck it in my pocket wet. And I said, okay, I pulled that off. Then about 2 hours later, they sent a shipment of the newspapers down in Montgomery. And on the front page was my picture all the way across. And these guys have never figured out how I did that. That's what you call my business, I scoop it. Anybody else got a question? Sure.
I have a question that may sound really stupid.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I have a question that's going to sound really stupid, but I would know the answer because I was born in '69. When there's the picture of the state troopers, and you said they were the Selma posse, or I guess it was the
You got a gun?
and they had the little Confederate flag on their helmets. Was that a standard on helmets back then, or did they just put that on during this particular time?
I really don't know. Probably put it on there, but if you go into Judge Middleton's office, who's the mayor of Selma, got a big Confederate flag hanging in there. So it's kind of like Selma, the old South, and I'm not knocking it, that's the way they are. But probably all those guys had stuff like that in there, and that's what it was in 1965.
But Spider, that was a posse person, so what happened?
Yeah, he was a posse.
What happened was Sheriff Jimmy Clark deputized a whole bunch of people that weren't really sheriffs, or weren't really troopers, is that right, Bob?
Yeah.
And they called them a posse, and so they were just deputizing extra hands to have, so that was one of the posses, so.
From Dallas and throughout the surrounding counties, Jim Clark's posse.
Yeah.
But they were like deputized for the event, kind of like, right?
Anything else today? Well, thank y'all for coming.